Yeah, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I woke up this morning and I saw the notification. Like it was like I fell asleep pretty early last night, so I woke up and it was like
Yeah.
probably 8 o'clock. Like, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, let me see what's on my phone. And I see, bro, I see Luka traded to the Lakers, and I'm like, I legit thought it was like a troll. I was like,
Yeah.
nah, like this can't be real.
That's so funny you didn't like you didn't see it till the morning because I went to the Knicks game last night and um on my way back home it was like maybe like 12:15 in the morning or whatever. It was like right after midnight and like yeah, I saw Shams's tweet and like I'm just like wait, what the fuck? Like so I clicked on his account like to see if it was like a troll account and it was actually his. And then I start seeing a bunch of like other like I see Brunson tweet like, "Yo, this has to be fake, right?" And I see a bunch of people saying like, hacked or whatever like that. And I'm just waiting, and then I just start seeing the Bleacher Report notification and ESPN, and I'm like, "What the fuck just happened?"
Yeah, bro. I honestly think that it's probably the craziest trade like in NBA history. Like if you think
Oh
about
yeah.
how good Luka is, how
Mhm.
young he is,
Yeah.
the team that he got traded to, like all
Yeah,
those things combined, and
you're
on top
tra
of the fact that he'll be playing with LeBron.
yeah, I mean, you're trading a guy who you could argue his ceiling, Luka could potentially be a top 10 player in the history of the game when it's all said and done. If you look at his body of work already, as you said, like a 25-year-old, I mean, it's just insane, honestly. It's like this guy, what I think his career average is like 28, 8 and 8, roughly. And he took his team to the finals at 23 years old, and who knows how much better this guy can get. Obviously, the Mavericks like had concerns, but like the fact that they kind of kept that under wraps for the most part, like that's what made this so crazy is that there wasn't this whole like buildup over the last, year or two of them, making it obvious that they're frustrated with him. Um, so for this to just happen, especially like at that hour of the night, just out of nowhere like that. And the Lakers, like, they're playing decent this year. It's not like they're a bottom feeder team and they're ready to completely clean slate and start fresh with a new face of the franchise. I mean, who knows how long LeBron's going to be around, but this might have very well extended his potential tenure in LA.
Bro, that was the first thing I thought about when I saw the
Yeah.
trade. I was like, there people are talking about how like LeBron might be next. I'm like, first of all, he has a no trade clause. Second of all, as much as he probably loves AD, like they're really close. He's getting Luca on his team. Like
Yeah.
that, if I'm LeBron and I know he said he's not going to play that much longer, but like that opens up your championship window in a way that AD doesn't. And it's like, if I'm in LeBron shoes, I'm like, wait, I can play for another 5. Bro, like he dismantled the Knicks last night. Like I was
This man.
watching that game, I was pissed. I was like, I couldn't believe it. He's spinning baseline and just dunking on people. Like it was so frustrating to watch,
And
bro.
And yeah, I mean, seeing it in person, I've seen LeBron play a few times, but I think the last time I saw him play was I think about like 3 years ago, and then I saw him play when he was on the Cavs one time. But last night, LeBron just absolutely took over. I mean, just flat out masterclass. I mean, N1 layups, timely buckets, one-legged threes, as you said, dunking on people, baseline. I mean, like he did it all. I mean, he had a 33-point triple double, I think. The Knicks had no answer for him, especially when, OG went down with a foot injury. There was just nobody who could even remotely guard LeBron. So, yeah, it was super impressive to watch. And I mean, if you're a Laker fan, I mean, I almost don't even know what I would feel right now if I were a Laker fan. It's like that's such a shocking move, but it also, I mean, you know, it sets them up, at least on paper, real nice for the future for sure. If not, also right now, they still have to fill out the roster a little bit. They need a center. They probably need another role player or two. Um, but hey, it's a good problem to have. You just acquired a 25-year-old, superstar.
Well, yeah, this is like the crazy thing. I was looking online and I saw that the Lakers have acquired these players when it comes. The Lakers have acquired these players either through trade or free agency. Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaq, Pau Gasol, LeBron, AD, and now Luca. Most
Yeah,
teams, like if you think about it, we're Knicks fans, but like most teams never get a player like that in their lifetime on their team. And the Lakers just continue to find new ways to like get these guys. They had the Shaq Kobe era. Then they had Gasol Kobe. Then they were bad for a while. Then they got LeBron came, him and AD won a chip, and now you have LeBron and Luka. And it's like the fact that the Mavericks didn't even shop Luka around makes no sense to me. I saw a report that like they really liked AD, but considering AD's a 31-year-old injury-prone aging superstar and Luka's not even in his prime yet, like the trade doesn't make sense to me because like we're in a league where Rudy Gobert is getting traded for 4 or 5 firsts. Mikal Bridges went for 5 firsts. Paul George went for Shea and like 5 firsts. Luka is better than every single one of those players we just talked about, and it's not close. And the Lakers just kind of get him gifted to him on a silver platter for like, hey, like we love AD. They're like, yeah, like we like AD too, but Luka is a generational talent. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I mean it's actually ridiculous when you really think about the history of the Lakers and how they've gone from, dynasty to dynasty with, a different collection of superstars. Now most recently LeBron and Luka, perhaps the modern day version of what it might have looked like to see Magic Johnson and Larry Bird play together. Both of their play styles are very similar to each other. Um, so that's going to be awesome to watch. But yeah, I mean, going back to your point on, the fact that the Lakers kind of got handed Luke on a silver platter, seeing now the reports of what the Mavericks thought of him, on a personal level, not so much, what the stat sheet showed, because you can't argue the numbers. I mean, Luca he stuffs the stat sheet for sure. But on a personal level, it seemed like there were real issues between his attitude, between the front office and himself. So I totally buy it now because, like you said, a guy like Luca, he should easily command 6 or 7 first round picks. From most teams, if we're comparing it to other players like the Rudy Gobert trade, the Paul George trade, and a variety of other trades, the Mikal Bridges trade. But yeah, I mean, Luca, like if you're the Knicks, like would you have offered, what would you have offered if the Knicks were in discussion, just out of curiosity?
I saw a buddy of mine today, and I was telling him I would have given him Cat and like Mikal Bridges without even thinking twice.
I was gonna say Cat gone, and just bring Luca in and pair him up with Brunson again because you saw how well that worked for the year that they were together and that playoff run they went on. Like it was working. So yeah, and I'm sure a lot of other teams would have mortgaged even more than that to get Luca. But you know, it's really interesting that the Lakers were apparently the only team that they called. I guess they were really set on Anthony Davis, or maybe there's something else going on behind the scenes. Maybe we don't know the full story yet of why the Lakers were the only team because it doesn't seem to make too much sense why you would trade a 25-year-old generational talent to a team within your own conference, especially if their goal is to quote unquote compete right now in the immediate future still with the AD trade, why would you trade, your best player to the Lakers who are also in a win now mode and are motivated to win over the next couple of years? So that's
Yeah.
questionable.
I think the only way that the AD, I think the only way the Mavs trading for AD out of all people makes sense is they were confident in the team and like the core structure that they had, but they really just had a problem with Luca. And to them, they're probably looking at like AD is probably the best fit for what we're trying to do. Because if you're looking for more value, like a bunch of teams would have given up more value, but it probably would have been like a young, nice player and then a bunch of picks. And if you have Kyrie, you have Clay, you have the core that you have with Jason Kidd and everyone, and you're trying to win now, those moves don't help you. Like I could have seen the Spurs doing like a Stephon Castle. Um, who else would they have traded? I don't know who else they would have traded, but like they could. I could have seen a team giving up like 6 or 7 first round picks for
Yeah.
Luca and like a nice, really young player. But when it comes to a team like you're trying to get like a top player to like still compete, it gets a little bit harder. But because I saw people reporting that like they were speaking to league GMs and they were like, "What would you have given up for Luca?" And they were like, "Literally everything." Everything.
Yeah.
And then like you just go to the Lakers immediately, keep it under wraps, which I don't know how that's even possible in today's NBA. And you're like, yeah, like we really like AD. The fact that Palinka didn't get that deal done in like 30 seconds is kind of crazy too.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you think there's any scenario with would do you think there's any scenario in which this trade works out for the Mavs?
Define works out. You
Do you think
you
there's
mean
any scenario in
the
which
championship?
the Mavs win this trade? they'd have to win a championship within the next 2 or 3 years, I would assume.
Yeah,
But
I mean, like if they win a championship, so there's a lot of factors that would have to go into it for the Mavs to end up winning this trade in the short term and long term. In the short term, if Anthony Davis is just a better fit for them and he's the defensive stopper they were missing, because as it is, Luka, he's injured right now. Granted, he'll be back soon, but with some of the conditioning issues that he might have combined with the fact that he's already had an injury this year, who knows? Maybe there's more injuries on the way. I hope not, but maybe that's what the Mavs are thinking. And they got Kyrie Irving, who how old is Kyrie? 30, 31, 32, like
somewhere around there.
somewhere around there. So him and AD are on the same timeline. So if they stick around together, they could be a pretty good duo. And they got a pretty solid roster still around those guys. So I think in the short term, if the Mavericks win a title in the next few years, great. You could call that a win. But if Luka continues to ascend into, legend status, which is what a lot of people, anticipate he's going to be when it's all said and done, sure, a championship is great, but if Luka ascending to that level equates to multiple championships for the Lakers over the next decade, you probably still lost the trade. I know winning a championship is great, but like a guy like Luka, he's skilled enough to potentially bring home multiple championships. We just saw him, like I said, take the Dallas Mavericks to the finals at 23 years old, pretty much putting the team on his back. As a guy who, and everyone wants to criticize his defense. I mean, he took the team to the finals. He's that skilled of an offensive player that I don't want to go as far to say it doesn't matter how good or bad his defense is, but when you're capable of dropping a 50-point triple double or however many he scored last year, I think like 70 something points, that's a whole different level of offensive skill that it almost balances out the fact that he can't play defense. I mean, the league should be lucky that he can't play defense. So yeah, I think for the Mavericks to sum it up, to win the trade, for sure they have to win a championship with AD and Kyrie there. And then they just got to hope that Luka doesn't actually end up, bringing multiple championships to the Lakers.
I think the Lakers could win the championship this year. If Luka gets healthy, LeBron stays healthy. If you look at the teams comparing the Mavs team that he took to the finals last year and this Lakers team as currently constructed, if they can make a move and get a better center in, because I do not trust Jackson Hayes, I don't trust him at all as a starting center on a championship team. But if you get Luka, LeBron, Austin Reeves, Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, I kind of trust a little bit. Vanderbilt, they have some guys that, you're a little bit iffy about. But when you're comparing it to last year's team, it's like they made trades for Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. And alongside Kyrie, those were the two best players. They made the finals. I know like how good this Thunder team is, but at the end of the day, they don't have that much experience. When you see LeBron and Luka, those are two guys that can be the best player in any playoff series against anyone. And now having both of them, like, I don't know. I think JJ Redick is a good coach. I think that they've looked really good recently, especially last night. They killed the Knicks without Anthony Davis anyway.
Yeah.
Uh, so I don't know. I could see them making a finals run, and I don't think any team wants to see them in the playoffs or in the finals because
Yeah,
Luka
I mean, like,
and LeBron, they can take over any single game.
yeah, exactly what you just said. I mean, Luca, especially Luca in recent years, has shown to be one of the scariest closers of a game, to go against. I mean, he's fearless. He always is the guy who wants to take the shot, and he's made quite a few of them. So he's had his fair share of big moments in big shots and big moments. But yeah, LeBron at 40 is still putting up the numbers, and again, like LeBron's never had a teammate like this who he can literally say, you know, get out of the way and just take over a game. Kyrie a little bit, but obviously that didn't last very long. Luka is a different level than Kyrie, being his size and playmaking ability from a passing standpoint. I mean, Luka can literally run point guard, score the most on the team while still getting the most assists, still rebounding the ball. Um, but defense is ultimately what's going to help the Lakers win a championship, and they're going to have to bring in a few defenders. Honestly, I wouldn't want the Knicks to trade this guy to him, but I could see the Lakers maybe calling the Knicks about Mitchell Robinson and seeing what his status is, or maybe a guy like a Jonas Valanciunas. There's a few centers out there that I think the Lakers are probably going to get on the phones and target because I can't imagine this Luka trade is only about the Lakers only thinking about life after LeBron because it's got to be a mixture of two. Obviously, Luka's 25. They know he's going to play for at least 10 more years and probably be a very effective player. But also in the short term, yeah, you have LeBron James still playing at an elite level. Who knows? People are saying this could be his last year, but now after this trade, maybe he plays another year, maybe he plays 2, 3, 4 more years. It looks like he can keep going as long as he personally wants to play. So if he smells blood in the water and him and Luka are just two great white sharks, I mean, they may want to go for a championship or two here and make one last, I guess, dynasty in LA together. So that's the interesting part to see what LeBron's mentality is about all this. We've only heard a little bit from him. He hasn't given a full, his full thoughts on the trade and where his head's at as far as beyond what this year looks like. But I'm sure they're going to go all in this year and try to win a championship and then figure it out afterwards.
Yeah. I think also like the scary thing about Luka on the Lakers is LeBron's been Luka's idol. Like he's been very vocal about that. Like he really looks up to LeBron. If there's anyone who's going to get him to get his ass in the gym and get in shape, I feel like it's LeBron because that's what LeBron's kind of been famous for, spending $1 million a year on, keeping his body right. Like he's 40 years old and he's in better shape than 99% of the league. If he can really, him and Luca could lock in together, especially with their first when they get their first off season together, and Luca comes into the season in shape, which I don't know if he's ever done that. Uh, could be, the push that Luca really needed to unlock his game and really, it seems crazy, but get to a higher level because, the stuff he's been doing already, like to be he's turning 26 this month. To be 25 and have made five straight first all NBA teams is just insane. Like
Yeah,
he's
I
in
mean,
elite company. He's gonna be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like it's just, it still doesn't even make sense, honestly.
yeah, I mean, if anyone's going to get the best out of Luka going forward, it's going to be LeBron James because, as you said, he's been notorious for that about, no nonsense. Like if there's a player who's known for, drama or whatever it is on prior teams, as soon as they become teammates with LeBron, they, for the most part, lock in and change their ways because there's just no time for it because they also know LeBron, lay GM, is will trade you. Um, if you're not holding your weight. So, yeah, I mean, Luca, I'm very excited. I think he's going to be all in. I think he's focused. As you said, Luca, he looks up to LeBron, and LeBron has vocalized how much he respects Luca's game. So I think the two of them, although they play a similar game, I think their basketball IQs will mesh well together and they'll figure out a system to where the two of them could thrive. LeBron's been able to play with a variety of stars throughout his career, and he's pretty much made it work every time. So I don't see why him and Luca won't work. So it's gonna be very exciting to watch. And something to note on Luca going to the Lakers is that now he's not eligible to sign the supermax deal, so he lost out on over $100 million. Now it's sad for Luca, but obviously he'll make that up in endorsements. But for the Lakers side, for in terms of building a roster, now they don't have to pay him as much. That's not as much of a hit towards the cap. They don't have to pay him as much um, per year as he would have gotten in Dallas. So it actually might help them in the long run to actually building a roster around Luca going forward. Um, so that's something to note too, that they might have some more flexibility here. So it's pretty smart trade for the Lakers, the timing of it to make it happen, to really, you know, take advantage of this opportunity that Dallas just wanted to part ways with him. So pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah. It's like the more I like think about it, the more I like just don't get it. But I never thought we'd be living in a world where Rob Pelinka was going to win GM of the Year
Yeah.
or
I
Executive of
mean,
the Year,
he's
whatever it
been
is.
he's been kind of a letdown, honestly, other than the Anthony Davis trade. I mean, nothing else he really did, was nothing else he did really worked. I mean, like everyone was just waiting. When are the Lakers going to get a third co-star? They tried it, with Westbrook for that year, and it didn't really work out. So, now, yeah, they don't have a big three, but they have maybe the biggest. two stars, in the game and maybe the best duo on paper this league has seen in a while. So it's gonna be fun. It's definitely gonna be showtime, and hopefully Luka stays healthy. I mean, even as a Knicks fan, I'm a LeBron guy, so I'm gonna be rooting from afar. And when it's the playoffs and LeBron's in it, it's always more interesting whether people like it or not. So, and Luka, I mean, he's box office. The two of them together, I can't imagine how exciting it's gonna be when the playoffs start.
Yeah. I think the real winners of this is the NBA
Yeah. The
ratings
NBA needed
because
something like this. It kind of felt like things were getting a little dry. It feels like, the NBA is in that kind of, I guess, like transitional phase where, some of the stars of the 2010s and early 2000s are, finally aging out of the league. Curry, LeBron, KD, they're almost on their way out. Um, and you got these young guys like SGA who's really starting to take over, but fans haven't had enough years to really, like gravitate towards which guys they want to root for throughout their careers. So it's like we're in that transition phase, but this is a show-stopping move that the league needed to really reel fans back in, maybe attract new fans to a new dynamic duo.
yeah. Thoughts on the league being rigged? Thoughts on league being rigged, sending Luca to the Lakers for
Yeah,
ratings?
man. Listen, I mean, I saw so many people tweet about how the fact that David Stearns when he vetoed the Chris Paul trade, whatever year that was, Chris Paul to the Lakers, pairing him with Kobe Bryant, after they had already won, I think, two championships in a row. Um, he vetoed that. So, I don't know what Adam Silver's take is on this. I'm sure he's as excited as fans are in terms of like how box office that duo is going to be. But yeah, I don't know. It definitely feels like there's more to this story than we're being told. It just doesn't seem like something like this should happen so easily. And it's like, listen, we're not in the Mavericks, we're not on the Mavericks staff. We don't spend day in, day out with Luka, and we don't have these conversations. So maybe for a few years they've been having, there's been this rift between the two of them and we just didn't know it. But just looking in from the outside, it seems like something that they should have at least tried harder to fix the relationship with. I don't know how you just allow something as simple as like they're concerned with his conditioning and they're concerned with his attitude. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, yeah, he's very professional, but he's still only 25 years old, so it's like there's definitely going to be some immaturity there. And, he's really ascended to a level to where like I don't know how you can let a guy like that walk unless it really is like that bad of a relationship. And I wasn't getting that vibe. I did, there's been instances where Luca has been a little unprofessional and seems a little immature, chirping to the refs, getting, teed up, ejected, whatever it is. Just doing a lot of talking and not a lot of backing it up when it comes to, yeah, his defense and all that. But yeah, from a front office standpoint, I don't know how they don't sit down with him and try to fix this more unless it was more just them forming their own opinion. Maybe Luka did want to stay in Dallas and the front office didn't feel the same way and they were like, we're gonna get the best package we can get for him now before he walks. Because I think after this year he could have walked. Or does he have
I think
multiple years on his
he has
deal?
2 years left, I think.
2 years.
But
But if
that
he
that's
declined, if he declined the extension, then
yeah.
that's all you need to know.
That's another thing is like all the reports that have come out say Luca loved being in Dallas.
Yeah.
Like you have a guy who loves being in Dallas coming off a finals appearance. Uh, he's not even 26 years old and there are no reports of him being unhappy, the team being unhappy. Like this just came out of thin air. Like there's never really been anything like this. Like there's barely been a trade to this magnitude. I think this is probably the craziest trade in NBA history. And when you think about the fact that it's like there was no prior reporting on it. There was no reason for anyone to believe that Luka was unhappy in Dallas. The reports are actually the opposite, that he loved being in Dallas and they don't shop him at all and just send him straight to Los Angeles. Like of all places, they send him to the Lakers.
Yeah,
That I
that
think
that's
is
the
the
most
one
surprising.
thing, you know. And if you're a fan of a small market team, you got to be like, you got to be kidding me. Like the Lakers continue to get bailed out by these trades where they don't really make sense. The Pau Gasol one was weird. The Lakers definitely didn't give up enough in that trade. They get AD, they gave up a good amount for him, but they won a championship, so it didn't matter. and now they get Luka for an aging, injury-prone superstar. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I agree with you. I think there's definitely more to the story because from what we've seen right now, it doesn't really make any sense. But
It's just it was too quick of a decision. They just ripped the Band-Aid off on this one. I mean, there it didn't seem like, from our perspective, there was much thought that was put into this other than an immediate, I guess, reaction to, however they felt about Luka. I mean, like I said, we can only speak as far as what we know so far. Maybe more details will come out, maybe not. But like, I could only hope that they had extensive conversations with Luka and, other members of the staff about how, and even the players, how they feel about this. But it seems like the players were blindsided by this. I mean, how does Kyrie feel? Kyrie has been unhappy ever since he left Cleveland and he finally lands in Dallas. And, you know, he seems like he was actually happy playing with Luka. They seem to work really well together. I mean, clearly they went to the finals. So I don't know. It's there is a lot to uncover with this story, but we'll see if we ever get those answers.
I think we will. I think it's it's bound to happen in today's league. The fact that guys
Yeah, I
said
mean
like
the
that it
media is
got
gonna
this far is just insane.
yeah,
But
I mean they are gonna get just hosed by the media the rest of the year. I mean, asking questions about their thought process on the trade. Luka's gonna get asked about this, whether it comes out this season or next season. Eventually, someone's gonna have, a sit down interview with Luka and, extract some of this information. I'm sure he knows a lot about what
yeah,
happened. Yeah.
we'll see. But yeah, I mean, nothing really else to say.
No,
Just
I'm
insane.
honestly still in shock. I mean, I really am. I mean, the last thing I'll say is like, other than trying to think, yeah, I mean, trade wise, craziest trade I think I have ever witnessed, maybe in all sports, honestly. I mean, this was just the way it happened. Like, for example, the Juan Soto to the Mets deal. That was a talking point in baseball for pretty much like over a year that Juan Soto could potentially be a New York Met because Steve Cohen would be willing to open up the checkbook. And it happened. So great, exciting, but it wasn't that surprising because it had been talked about. This was just not even a thought in anyone's mind. You always see memes and stuff, online of the Lakers getting this star, the Lakers getting that star, the delusional fans, but you can't even call them delusional at this point because I mean they just continue to get superstars. I mean, just from the time they were created till now, I mean they've always pretty much had a box office superstar player, and they just Luka Doncic is just the next one in their franchise history.
Yep. And who knows, maybe another one's gonna fall into their lap soon.
Yeah, just
Uh,
please don't let them get Wemby. Anyone but Wemby.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, like I said, this is probably because they didn't want to get they didn't want to bring in young guys and picks because they wanted to win now still. But like, if Luka's available and you were like the Spurs and you found out about that, I would give 10 first round picks.
Probably,
The
yeah. I
piece
mean,
Luka with Wemby, like that's the type of trade you give up everything for. Because
yeah,
there's a lot of talks about Fox going there, and people are like, "Well, I don't know if I would give up Stephon Castle." It's like, bro, it's De'Aaron Fox. Like
yeah.
you should give him up.
Hmm.
But Luka, he's on another playing field. But
Yeah, I mean, look what happened. You gave Luka Kyrie Irving and he goes to the finals. I mean,
now you got LeBron.
exactly. Now he's got LeBron, and it's like Victor Wembanyama is a guy who, like, yeah, it feels like if you just give this guy one or two like good players, all-star caliber players, feels like championships are like coming. So, um, yeah, I'm in just such shock still that this has actually happened. It's gonna be crazy to watch Luka in the purple and gold, playing alongside LeBron. I mean, that's just gonna be insane. I know that the Mavericks and the Lakers play each other February 25th, I believe, is the first time that those two teams clash, and that's going to be crazy. That's going to be really interesting to see everything from the pregame interactions to, the actual battle in the game itself. So that's going to be crazy to watch. And who knows, maybe they'll face off in the playoffs. That's going to be
That would be awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, well, this free Zoom is running out of time. I just got a notification
Yeah, I
about
saw that.
it. Oh, you saw it too? I
In the
thought it was
top right
just
corner.
me.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
It's like I think they give you like 40 minutes of free
Yeah, I
time
think
or
so.
something.
All
Yeah.
right, bro. Well, we'll see. And I mean, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow, dude.
All right, dude. Have a good
Appreciate
night.
you having me on.
Thanks for coming on.
Yes, sir. See
Bye.
ya. Bye.